Great. So we just learned that basically the bone that is related for the resurrection is the bone that is called Luz, the one that you explained before. So the question is here, Rabbi, for the practicality, we know that the cremation is forbidden, right? We should not even grant the wish of maybe our parents, or whoever, to be cremated, right? So with this knowledge, is it okay if we can extract the loose, keep it somewhere safe, maybe for 100 years, 1,000 years, and then the remains of the body being cremated? So how's the Torah rules on this?
Yafeh. Thank you, Leo, for your question. Your question is indeed very interesting. And I had similar questions already in the past. And it's the very first time that someone asked this question in this specific way. So I'll give you what the Torah says about the luz, the bone in the base of the skull, called the occiput, that will conserve the DNA of a person from which Hashem will resurrect that person. And I want to mention that the way that a person dies in a specific moment, it's the way that if the person died at 82, okay, and the exact features of the person at that moment will be the features that the person will have in the first moment of the resurrection. Okay, Hashem will resurrect the person exactly the way he died, but in the following moment, Hashem will regenerate him back to a 21-year-old human being. Okay, with elasticity in the skin, with all of the organs completely regenerated. From that moment onwards, there will no longer be any aging, no disease, and of course, no more death whatsoever.
Right.
Now, regarding a person that passes away, he has to be buried in the ground. And the Jewish law states for a Jew, it has to be buried in the ground, surrounded by a white tissue. If it's a man with his talit, if it's a woman, should be dressed up and with the white tissue straight in the earth. No coffin and no boxes and no nothing and no metal and no nothing around it. Okay? Minadama. הוצאתי אותך לאדמה תחזור, כן? הקדוש ברוך הוא says that from the ground I made you from clay, I made the man from clay, and to the clay he's going to return.
Right.
From the dust we came, like Abraham said, from this we came, to the dust we'll go back. But that's only the body. Okay? Now, for a Jew, and in that case, and there are cases where you can see, I just saw last week. So the coffin, for example, when they buried Yaakov in Egypt, when they took it was not really buried, but it's brought in the Gemara in Shabbos or Sanhedrin, that when they brought Yaakov out of Egypt, he was not decomposed.
He's not decayed. Yes, his body is not decayed.
And not only that, the Gemara says Yaakov Avinu lo met. Yaakov Avinu didn't die.
Didn't die. Yeah.
So people made a mistake when they saw him die, but he didn't die really. Okay, a similar episode happened with Moses. Moses, right, went up to the mountain,
right,
etc. People made a wrong calculation, so they thought he was dead, and he was not dead. Okay, it's like what happened right this past Shabbat on Gimel Tammuz. So for the Rebbe, right?
Yeah.
Some people thought that he would die, and he didn't really die. Okay, now for the Noahide, what is the law? Should a Noahide be buried in the ground? Yes or no? The answer is yes. He should be buried in the ground. Okay, with no coffin, with no nothing surrounding it. If it's not possible, in some countries it's not possible. You cannot request that. They need to have a coffin. Okay, so there'll be a coffin.
Right.
Okay? It's not as strict as for a Jew. Third point, some Noahides will ask to be cremated. Okay, is it permissible or not for a Jew? The answer is no. It's not permissible for a Jew to be cremated. Is it permissible or not for a Noahide to be cremated? The answer is he definitely should not be cremated. Ultimately, if he doesn't have a choice and if the parents don't know better and they want to be cremated, someone should dissuade them from that. But ultimately, is not ultimately forbidden for a Noahide to be cremated. But they definitely should avoid that. They definitely should avoid that, because I will tell you why. Imagine there was a Noahide, there was an observant Noahide, and listen, he can look at the law and see that it's not an absolute prohibition to be cremated, and I want to be cremated. He would resurrect as well. He will resurrect. But the process of the resurrection, it's going to be kind of painful. It's going to be kind of painful. Okay, so we want to avoid, like any reasonable human being, wants to avoid any useless type of pain. Okay, so we want to avoid that. Okay, so now the bone, the luz, is called the indestructible bone. So too, I don't want to mention any heavy examples, but this in the past. Okay, so the bones, even those that were destroyed and burned, etc., the luz was still there. Okay, the structure of the skull was still there. So by us, we say that by Jews, we eat a special meal on Saturday night, Shabbat, between Saturday and Sunday, okay, which is called Melavim Malka. To accompany the Shabbat, we call it Seudat Mashiach, Malka de Mashiach, the meal of King David, the meal of the Messianic redemption,
right?
Okay, which nourishes the luz, which nourishes the DNA, okay, of that indestructible bone, okay, which will facilitate and even enhance, okay, the future resurrection. Now, if you would look to something similar by the Noahides, it would be definitely to learn the parts of Torah concerning redemption. Okay, the laws concerning the Mashiach and the redemption, even though it's not an obligation. If you go beyond the law, you can nourish yourself from the light of the future, okay, and you can bring it down already into your current present, and that will enhance definitely your possibilities in redemption.
In which nourishing the luz for the Noahide. Say so.
Yes. So the resurrection will also happen for the Noahides, as the Rambam Posek L'Halacha, he states in the law clearly that all observant Noahides will be resurrected.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to be resurrected together.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, and as we exposed this morning, so the story be recorded, we'll not mention the name of the person, not to expose his identity, but there was this resurrection, someone that we thought that was, God forbid, that passed away 5 years. This morning wrote me a message and say, "Shalom, Rabbi Perets, how are you?" And I was very, very positively surprised to see that Baruch Hashem. Still need to give him a call, but to see that, a direct experience of the resurrection. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.